So I want to begin this episode by, again, saying thank you. This time to all y'all out there that are ready to call me out on my bullshit for selling out and getting a sponsor on the very first episode. Those of y'all that were ready to call me out, y'all the real ones. Raw, real, no bullshit. That's how we keep and kills it. And I'm glad that it actually mattered to y'all. So, yeah, back to it. I spoke, if you missed on episode 1, I spoke about what is going to be the Secretive Service Shoutout. And what that's going to be it military, fire, police, EMT, social workers, teachers, anyone that has been impactful on your life or others that just does it for the good. They don't do it for the recognition. It's kind of secretive. We want to give them a bit of recognition for their service. So first one we've got in is from a brother, Stephen Clark. He wants to give a shout out to Gunnery Sergeant Jim Doolittle of the United States Marine Corps. We're not going to get too into it because of his involvement with High Military Command, but Stephen says that this guy literally helped bring him back to life after the war. He took me under his wing, took me turkey hunting in Virginia, taught me to read the laws pertaining to Virginia hunting, and gave me access to the first place to hunt the East Coast. This was 5 years ago. To this day, we share opening weekend of muzzleloader on that property and hunt his PA farm for turkey and deer. He took a vet that needed guidance and pulled him under his wing to make sure that he had a way to connect with the outdoors and the rest of the world after the war. He's got a heart as big as anyone does and does right by his fellow servicemen. Donates yearly to organizations to support veterans, hunting opportunities, and make sure that anyone in his network is taken care of. I owe the man more than I can say. Stephen Clark, thank you very much for your service as well, and for sending this to me to give Sergeant Jim Doolittle a shout out. Obviously, he's done and given a lot more than I can say thank you for simply on this podcast, but really do appreciate his service, appreciate your service, and, this is a pretty deep one to start off with, and, this is the type of people that deserve some recognition, even though that's not the purpose of it. So, again, Gunnery Sergeant Jim Doolittle, thank you. Stephen Clark, thank you. If you want to send a shout out for the Secretive Service shout out, just reach out to the KiLLs It podcast on Instagram, send a message there, and we'll get it out. Let's go ahead and let's begin.
You were born primal. You were born primal.
What the fuck is up, y'all? Iron Assassin, firing off from the farm, from the Free State, with another episode of KiLLs It. This time, I do have a guest in studio. Well, I say studio, but it's my fucking kitchen, all right? But this is another local boy. He's a All Outdoorsman. He's a bad motherfucker. Get ready to hear it all on KiLLs It. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode. Told you I was going to get some guests in studio, and like I said, studio ain't built. We're in my kitchen. We're having a good time, about to crack some beers with my buddy, Ryan Davis. What's going up, bud?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing good. Freezing my ass off, but that's November hunting weather, man.
About that time.
It is now. Everyone's out after bucks for the rut, but you're not much of a deer hunter, are you?
Nah, I kind of strayed off from it. I'd say probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe.
It's like I said, opening up, you're another do-all outdoorsman. It's fucking hard, dude.
It really is.
You gotta pick your passions and kind of and it's weird how different seasons, maybe it's month to month, maybe it's year to year, but different things take priority. I'm the type of guy, it's like, hey, I can go duck hunting, or it's a damn good morning to go deer hunting. I'm getting in a tree. I know your ass is getting in the boat.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, seeing everybody killing big deer and seeing them running around and stuff kind of brings it back a little bit to want to hop in a tree, but it's kind of hard staying away from the ducks, man. It's getting to be that time, starting to get them cold fronts and starting to see some new stuff show up and pretty much getting the itch, man, getting everything fired up and ready to go.
Well, the thing that's cool is, I mean, obviously, yeah, you're a hardcore duck hunter, but you also, what I want to talk to you a lot about is the photography and everything else you do. You have some fucking sick photos, dude. And I know you worked your ass off. You've bought a place on the water now.
Yep.
You've actually built a little bit of nesting habitat and everything else. So you've really just kind of encased yourself with ducks.
Yeah, to a sense, it's I see them every day, like I said, so it's cool. You get the interaction with them. It's not even necessarily the kill for me. It's studying them and watching them do their thing without being pressured. And that's kind of what I like photography about it too, is that you can go set up. Like I'll dress up like I'm going hunting and go somewhere. I'll scout and I'll find birds and I'll get in there before the ass crack of dawn and I'll go set up, ghillie suit and all, and laying down in the water, elbows deep, just to get the shot. And it's really neat when you actually get to see them do their thing. Like wild ducks, wood ducks, gadwalls, shovelers, widgeon, all them stuff that's wild. That they're not park ducks. They're the real deal. And if you fuck up one time, it's over and it can ruin your whole morning by just spooking a couple. So you kind of got to be on top of your shit.
Yeah, I always tell people that, especially those that don't hunt, there is nothing like being out in nature when nature doesn't know you're there.
Exactly.
And the photography, we're saying it's not all about hunting. The photography and videography, but dude, it engrosses you the same way. It's like you have that one opportunity, maybe you're not pulling a trigger and having the crosshair on it, thinking like a gun, or settling your pin and releasing an arrow, but it's like you have to make sure all your settings are right. You have to make sure your focus is perfect. And when you have that duck locked up right above the water, wings spread, about to set down, you got that one chance to get that shot. It's very similar. Yeah, and it's very similar to hunting in that aspect. It's like you're waiting for that moment. It's all about all the work, everything, all the practice. It all comes down to hoping you get that moment.
Yep, and it's the bitch of it is you got to take. I tell myself all the time, and I tell a lot of people who take pictures that they see one good shot and they're like, man, like you do this and that, you take sick ass pictures and you got that shot, like that's a dope shot, but they don't see that I've got to go through 1,500 pictures that 700 of them might not be the way I want it. I'll narrow it down slightly and I'll look at them again. I'm like, it's not the one I want. That's not it.
That's a good one, but it's a little blurry.
Yeah, there's something about it, but there's always, when you see that one, you're just like, that's it. Like most of the time when a camera, when you click it and you hit that perfect shot and you can see it, you're just like, that's it. Like,
dude,
I got it.
I know it. I feel the same way. And especially, with my filming of hunts, like when... that last sick deer hunt that I showcased on the last episode of KiLLs. If you guys are listening to this on audio only platform, I do have a YouTube channel for KiLLs at podcast up and splice in some different hunts and shit when that's available. So check that out. But on the last episode, I plugged in some of the sick deer hunt footage, and after that week, when we got back, me and a buddy are sitting here and I throw it on the computer. And when I watched the footage and I saw the kill shot from both angles, dude, I was just as fucking jacked as when I released that arrow. it was like you said, when you see that photo or you see you captured it just fucking right, it's as good as making a kill shot.
It brings it to a whole nother level.
It's fucking awesome. Yeah. And one thing that's weird for me, I guess, is I got addicted to filming like as soon as I started hunting. I just started filming with skateboarding and fucking around doing shit like that. And, I'm carrying a camera the size of a fucking shoebox out into the tree with me when I first started. And I remember I didn't have a camera arm or nothing. I was trying to bungee cord it to the stand and shit. And then it was either, well, what's coming in? I either pick up my bow or I pick up this hunk of shit that's got like basically a car battery attached to it and VHS tapes, But so I kind of started doing it forever. The filming and everything is all just kind of part of my hunting. Another big thing with the ducks, though, that, obviously I love as well is the fucking dogs.
Yeah, it's that adds the entire element to it. It's a whole new factor to the point where now that I'd rather watch my dog work versus pick up my gun. Like when I took Tenley out for her first hunt, the guy I actually went with, he was like, man, you got to pick your gun up. I was like, I'm going to work with the dog. Like I enjoy watching the dog versus picking my gun up. I'd rather see somebody else shoot them and watch my dog work. It is. It's because you put in so much time in the off season and you work with them every day and you watch them start from nothing when you get them. They don't know anything. They're just a puppy, and you can mold them into how you want them, and they pick up on everything, and it's repetitious, and you can just tell it's in their DNA. Like it's born into them, and they just, once it clicks for them, it's lights out. They never forget it.
And it's a bond that you form that you just don't get another way.
That dog will do anything for you.
Absolutely.
They will swim a country mile. They will dive under the water to grab a duck. They will sit there and sniff around.
I'm going to have to come back to swim a country mile because I have a fucked up story about that, and I've never told it. So we'll come back to that in a minute. But, Brick, with his training, how, I do some goose hunting. I do some duck hunting. And when I was looking for a lab, I specifically wanted a dog that was about 60 to 70 pounds. I had a lab before that pushed over 100, and getting that son of a bitch in and out of a truck, in and out of a boat and everything else, I just didn't want to deal with that again. And I was like, I want a small dog that can go all fucking day long and can do whatever. As long as he's big enough to carry a goose, he's big enough to go. And, like the standard for a lab, a male, I believe, is 65 to 85 pounds. But you look at labs, especially here in the Chesapeake area, I mean, the standard is 85 to 105.
My oldest female, Zoe, she was lean. When she was hunting hard and she was lean, she was a lean 82 to 84 cut as a female.
Well, so speaking of her, you're passing the torch now, huh?
Yeah,
or Zoe's passing the torch, I guess.
She doesn't want to, but I mean, it's hard, man. It's
exactly like you said. They'll do anything once you got them that primal drive is in them, and once they know it, there ain't nothing they love more.
No, and she's got a bad leg, and she's actually got a tumor in her lymph node in her back leg, so it's kind of messes her up. But she's
still got the fire. Like, the drive.
If I wanted to send her out,
how old is she?
She's 10. She just turned 10.
Okay, so she is getting up.
She's
there.
rough, man.
Yeah,
we hunted her hard, and it happened. It happened pretty quick. She got beat up a couple times doing not stupid stuff, but hunting in conditions she probably shouldn't have, and it kind of got her roughed up. But that dog, man, I'm telling you, she would break ice.
I know what you mean. But it's the same shit. How many times have you been out hunting in conditions you probably shouldn't have?
And you beat up, but they love it. She loves it more than I do.
They fucking live for it, literally.
Oh, I've never had her oversleep.
Yeah.
Like,
right. Yeah, she don't sleep in past the alarm.
No.
So is that kind of why you got another dog, just because you knew she was getting up in age and you knew she could still show the ropes a little bit and it was time to train a younger one? Or
it was rough, man. I went for about, I'd say, a season and a half without a dog.
Gotcha.
And I was going nuts. Like, hunting just wasn't the same to me. I still went out and had fun and did my thing, but there was like, it was a piece was missing.
I get you.
Just one day it kind of came to me and I was just like, man, I'm going to go get another dog. And
You know, I have places that I'll hunt where either they just don't want dogs or they have other dogs and don't want to bring other dogs. And a lot of times I'll hunt by myself just so I can take Brick out. Yeah. It's like, well, you know, if I can't take him, shit, I'll just go hunt here. Fuck it. Yeah. And that happens a lot, actually. But, you know, Brick's training started because he was just such an ornery fuck. Like, I mean, he's a maniac. And when I do duck hunt and I do goose hunt, but I'm not hardcore about it. You know what I mean? Like, I love it, but it's not what I live and breathe.
kind of like fills the gap a little bit. In
Yeah,
between.
I mean, I love doing it. And you know what I think I really love about it the most? Before the dog, that's what I enjoy the most about it now. But the camaraderie. Like, I spend so much time in solitude in the tree stand and driving to and from the marsh and all that kind of shit. It's the way to have fun with friends, but you're still out there getting after it, you know? But he would get ornery as fuck. And every night about 11 o'clock, he would just be an asshole. And it was like I could throw the ball or I could run him to death, and it didn't matter. He was still just ornery. So he needed a hardcore, not just physical, but mental exhaustion and stimulation. So every night at 11 o'clock, we would be training. And if it was shitty outside, I got the barn out there, we would be out in the barn. And it was just every day. That's what we did, because it was, if you don't give a dog something good to do, they're going to do something bad.
Damn right.
So, and as high drive and just as much of a nut as he is, that was our routine, was the training. And it sucks. I have really slacked off on it since. So it's kind of, the season comes back in and I'm ready to pick up right where we left off, but it's my fault when I haven't tuned him up again, you know?
They never forget, but sometimes they need a little bit of
they're like you know, it's kind of like the first group of ducks come in, you might flock shoot a little bit and you're like, shit, okay, let me settle down and get back into this. You know, they're kind of the same way, may break a little early on the first group coming in and shit like that. And it just happens. But you know, it's really cool to, I hope to have one of Brick's pups. Actually, he just had a litter. He fathered. He sired 13.
Jesus,
it was
a strong swimmer.
Yeah, and the fucked up thing is, the first time they didn't stay tied, and he just fucking blew all over the ground. So we were like, well, we'll try this again, you know, in a few days. And we were just hanging out talking for a while, and we were literally about to leave. You know, he was exhausted. and she was taller than him too, so he really had to work for it. And we were literally about to leave, and he climbed up on top of her again and was like, all right. And he's like, yeah, they tied that time, and said, well, I don't know if anything's really going to take. And well, so maybe we'll revisit in a few weeks,
13
whatever.
pups later.
Yeah, and he said, he's like, she's getting big quick. It was like, oh, all right, shit, guess it worked. And yeah, it was, she was a chocolate female whose father had the silver gene. Uh-huh. And there was 7 silvers and 5 chocolates. Damn. Yeah. And, you know, bunch of them are a chip off the old Brick, man. They're already retrieving ducks and geese, and you know,
take them long.
Yeah, a lot of them. It's funny. Some of them take after the mother for sure. Like the mother was more your typical lab. You're friendly, just like, you know, you're a family dog, but she's a hunter too. Yeah, she was a hunter too. And the guy that owned her, they had bred labs before. That was one of the reasons, you know, that I chose to pair Brick with it was Brick and Sticks. Yep, Brick and Sticks. So they had raised pups before. They actually had a whelping house and everything else. So it worked out really cool. But some of them for sure take after the mother, and a couple of them, they're just like brick, just this laser focus intensity. Like, if he never just goes up to someone to say hi, he gets his toy and goes up. If you try to pet him, he's like a boxer. He just dips his head and rolls and then looks at you like, why are you trying to touch me? If you got a hand, feed me or throw something. That's just the way he is. But what's it like training the new pup, and how's Zoe handling the new pup and all too?
I mean, she's always been a dog that not that she doesn't dislike other dogs. She doesn't like in her personal space. She'll growl,
or her hunting time.
Yeah, she growls at him, but it's on her terms. When she wants, like, she won't let a dog lay near. Like, Tenley cannot lay near, but some days you'll come around and they'll be laying head to head or back to back, laying on each other, and it's like it's not a big deal. But they're completely two different dogs, man. She had to drive, like, you knew it.
Yeah.
That from when she was a puppy, she had it. Now Tenley's got it, but she's a completely different dog. I had to adjust everything about my training to her, which was hard because I was used to how Zoe was and how she reacted to everything. And I learned real quick that you're going to have to adjust to get this dog to work and to do her thing and build confidence. And Zoe was she had to drive. When she saw it, she was going. And if she thought it was there, no matter if I blew that whistle and signaled her left or right, she was going where she thought it was. And it was tough because that was the hardest part on sending her on blinds and everything. But if they were in the water, she wasn't missing them, man. It was we mopped a flock of, like, say 12 or 13 blackheads one time, and she went out single-handedly back to back to back to back to back. Every single one of them in a row, brought them back. I've seen her pick up 2-3 ducks at a time. I've actually seen her bring back 3 shovelers at one time. That was pretty cool. But yeah, Tenley's she's smart. I would say she's smarter than Zoe, but she's very
more tentative, smart, like
nose-wise, and she responds to me better. She looks to me for guidance more so than Zoe did. Zoe thought she had it.
She had the drive.
But
yeah.
Now Tenley's kind of laid back. If she has no idea where she thinks it's at, when I send her, she'll run out 15 feet and stop and turn around and look at me, and I'll guide her. I can whistle her. She's whistle trained to backs, rights, all that stuff. So she's very smart when it comes to that. And I mean, I've sent her so far 200, 150 yard blinds, and I mean, she does pretty damn good.
That's impressive.
Young, but,
yeah, especially for being a young pup.
But she doesn't take being stern well. If I have to raise my voice to her to guide her back, if she's not listening,
she cower pretty quick.
She kind of just rears away. She doesn't shut down necessarily, but she rears away. And you can tell it kind of throws her off for a mojo a little bit. So
I experienced that with Brick too. And I think it is, like you said, she looks to you so much for guidance that
she doesn't want to disappoint you.
Exactly. It's kind of it's not necessarily a fear. It's like you said, like damn, I didn't. Yeah, like they know they didn't perform what you wanted to. And like one of the things with Brick, I can tell him to do all kinds of crazy shit. It's amazing what he understands, but if he ever doesn't understand me, he sits down.
Yep.
Like that's his thing. He looks at me and he just sits down, and that's his way of saying,
what do you want me to do?
I don't know what you're asking me to do.
What do you want me to do?
Yes. And he, like I said, he's such a hyper fuck. Once I get him just to calm down, he's fucking amazing. Whether it's ducks, geese, pheasants, everything. He's hardcore about it. Yeah. So I'll take it back to talking about that country mile swim. I've never told this on a podcast before.
I think you've told me in person when we fished one night.
Yeah, I might have. Yeah, because we were on that river.
Yep.
So one night, a group of a buddy of mine, group of friend of mine, they lease an island in the Susquehanna, and we'll go out there and we camp and we party and hang out. And we also do some duck hunting from there and all. And went out with some friends, and like usual, I'm running fucking late. So I get there, it's already fucking dark and shit, and so pull up, and right away, I told the guys, I said, as soon as we get there, let's go bow fishing. A couple of you guys hop on the boat. We'll go straight out, and that way we won't stay out too late and piss off all their girlfriends and wives. So we get there, and Brick, he sees the other dogs. He just jumps off the fucking boat and goes over to shore. But the river was close to 3 times the normal flow. An area where we usually have a little beach to pull the boats up, and then like a 4.5 foot tall rock wall. The boats were pulled up on top of the rock wall. So the river was fucking raging. But we knew I could make it down to the flats, and out in the flats it would calm down, it would clear up, we could do some bow fishing. So that was the plan. And this is the first time we've been out to the island since duck hunting. So I tell Brick to stay, leave him, tell the people there I'm leaving him, we're going bow fishing. We take off down the river. Well, that was at 9:30. At 12:30, I look at my phone. We're getting ready to head back, and I have a message that says, Brick is with you, right? So right away I call, and I was like, you did find him, right? And they're like, quit fucking around. I'm like, no, I'm not joking. And they're like, we haven't seen him since you left. And I wasn't trying to be cynical or anything else, but my first response and literal thought was, well, if he's not on the island, he's dead.
Yeah.
And like, well, maybe he's around here. I'm like, if he's not hitting you with a stick trying to get you to throw it or eating your food, he's not fucking there. So we start hammering back up the river, fucking come around the turn under a train bridge and spin my prop. So now I know my dog has been in this raging river for 3 fucking hours. Is probably like down to South Carolina by now, the way the fucking river's running. And my prop spun, so we're going like 4 fucking knots all the way back up.
Against the fucking raging river.
Against the river. Get back up there, and obviously it's pretty somber. Everybody's just kind of doesn't know what to say, what to do. And I was like, well, I'm going to go over to the boat ramp. Maybe he made it over there. Went over there, was calling, yelling, nothing. And went back out to the island and started hearing a dog bark. And it was like, that's got to be... It sounds like it's right there at the boat ramp. Like, there's a couple houses there and everything. It was like, it's probably one of their dogs. So it was like, drop me off over there. I had my buddy drive me over, drop me off by the boat ramp. And I just started walking, trying to get close to it and pass all the houses. And it's still way the fuck down. And I'm like, looking at my GPS, I'm like, there's nothing down there. There should not be a dog down there. I'm like, and it sounds like Brick. And I'm like, I know this is fucking crazy, but I'm like, it sounds like Brick.
Oh, you can tell.
So I call my buddy. I was like, come pick me up. I'm going to take my boat down there. I'm going to wherever the fuck that barking is. I got to. And this is now probably 5 hours since he's been in the water. And, my buddy's like, man, my boat runs shallower than yours. I'll come get you. We'll head down. And I know in this area, it's fucked up. I mean, when there's a lot of rocks. There's a lot of trees. There's a lot of shit. And especially with the river raging like this.
Can make
make
a bad day turn terrible.
Oh, yeah. Or a bad night. Real bad. So we're going down, and we would shut off the motor and listen and hear barking and just kind of head toward it. And kept doing that, and finally I kept shining the flashlight and the spotlight, and I finally saw eyes on the bank. Whistled, and it just took off up the bank coming closer to us. And I was like, holy fuck, that's him. And we start heading to shore, and he couldn't even help it. He dove in the water, started swimming out to us. I grabbed him, and when I threw him in the boat, he collapsed. Like, that's how he was worn the fuck out. Like, when he would turn his head sideways, his tongue was falling out. Like, he could barely hold himself up. So where we picked him up at was a mile down the fucking river from where he went in. And who knows how far he had got down and then spent the last 5 hours
trying to get back up,
possibly working his way back up. No fucking clue, dude. I thought for sure. I was like I said, the very first thing I said was, if he ain't on the island, he's dead. If we didn't have a pond at where I work and he sneaks through the fence and just fucking doggy paddles around the pond for hours at a time, just swimming around hours at a time, I don't know of many other dogs that would have survived that. It was fucking crazy.
Nasty shit, man, between the tides and everything. Not necessarily right there, but
yeah, it was bad, dude. It was bad. The whole night, he would sit there and have these muscle spasms, because he had literally just completely worn himself to exhaustion.
Pure exhaustion.
Yep. It was nothing but fucking will, and he's got plenty of that, I'll say that. But yeah, that was crazy. There's been a couple times I've almost lost his ass. He's a fucking, I call him a barn cat, and I'm pretty sure he has 9 lives and has used about 6 already. So we were talking about dogs and duck hunting and everything else, and photography, little bit of deer hunting. It seems like you're after bone once it's on the ground, not while it's hanging on their head.
It's the weirdest thing to me because I know a lot of guys do it to pick their target bucks for the year or to see their inventory.
Who survived, maybe.
To check their inventory, per se. It's a deer hunter's thing is who made it.
Yep.
What are they going to turn into? It's another piece to the puzzle, figuring it out.
And especially if you can have a shed and then kill a deer in the future. And
exactly.
You can,
you're putting a piece to the puzzle together, because where he drops his antler, that's part of his lifestyle, his terrain. That's where his movement is.
And once pressure is over, once season is over, and once they're going back into that bed feed mode.
Yep.
So a lot of times the sheds can almost give you a little bit of a clue of what you may see early season or late season when they are in that strict bed to feed.
Exactly. And even though I'm not a big deer hunter, and I don't chase. I find a lot of my sheds on public land.
And you find a lot of sheds.
Last year was a little tough. I went through, I think it was close to 50-mile law, and it was kind of disheartening going time after time, walking 10, 12 miles and not finding nothing, which is kind of out of the normal, because the year before I think I picked over 50 on the same amount of miles, and I think last year I only found like 17.
Gotcha. I remember I thought it was like 48 or something.
And then I found 2 during turkey season.
Okay. Yeah. You had to get that 50. You go.
I found 2 in turkey season.
Gotcha. Well, okay. So when you're shed hunting, what are you keying in on?
I kind of watched a lot of like videos and stuff, because at first when I started doing it, I struggled. And it was kind of...
And you have the dog trained for this too,
yes,
right?
Yeah,
okay.
she doesn't...
That helps.
I haven't really like muscled her into it or really got
But it's a way to take the dog out.
And
take her out for a fucking walk.
Out.
Yep.
10, 12 miles during the springtime, keeps them in shape, keeps them... It's after duck season and everything, so they kind of keeps them on their toes, keeps them fit, and they don't get that chance
all
to
outdoorsmen, do all dogs.
Yep,
you know, labs are one of the best for that.
They don't get out of shape, and keeps them to where they need to be physically. And it actually... I do think a lot of people are kind of like, oh, they need to be one or the other. You can't let them get on that, because if you're hunting anywhere in timber and stuff and they start getting on deer mode looking for antlers and not ducks, it kind of throws them off. But I think it works their nose better, because they can smell. And if you notice, if you ever seen a dog with an antler, they always go straight to the pedicle. Every time.
Yep.
Straight to the
pedicle.
pedicle.
Right where the scent is.
Exactly.
I have watched Brick step right over antlers from the previous year. You know, the ones that are kind of chalky and splintered and dried out. It has no scent at all. I mean, it's a bright white fucking antler sitting right there, and they'll step right over them because there's not that scent on it.
But if you find them fresh ones, man, they're all over them.
Yep.
But the first one Tenley found on her own. The first one I found, I saw it, and kind of guided her around it, let her sniff around, telling her to find it. And she stepped on it, walked right past it. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Like, that's as easy as they come, easy as they get. And I kind of let her smell it, play with it a little bit, and kept going on and looking. And I had saw one, like a fresh one, laying up on the pine needles. I kind of guided her over to it. She was sniffing around. I stayed back a little ways, and she found it, picked it up, brought it to me. And I looked up after that, and I saw an old shed sticking through the pine needles. Blatant 3 times, sticking straight out of the pine needles. As soon as I grabbed that from her, she went in that direction. I was still about 15, 20 yards from it. She ran right over to it, pulled it right out of the pine needles. And I was like,
she
knows.
it.
Yeah,
Yep.
she knows.
She's
like,
getting it.
And it picks up, and I took her to another place on public after that, and I found, it was one evening after work, and I found 3 sheds within 10 yards from each other. One was the left side, it was a fresh one. The old one that was within 10 feet of that was that deer's left side from the year before. Almost identical, same size, same everything.
That's
There's no
crazy.
way.
You know where he beds.
Yeah. And and then there was another nice, probably 120-inch deer on the one, and it was just straight tines up on the grass, right on them south-facing slopes, man.
That's
I find
awesome.
I do very well on south-facing slopes.
Yeah, they like to get that sun.
Soaks up the sun, and
you know, and in our region, you know, this goes in pretty deep into deer hunting, but a lot of people, you know, they talk about the south-facing slope and the sun and everything else, but if the wind is wrong, a deer's not going to use the south-facing slope. But if the wind is close, they'll make it work if they can.
Yep.
They'll use, you know, even if it's a little easterly or a little westerly mixed in there. Not only do they get the sun most of the day, but during the winter, a lot of times we have winds coming from the north that are colder, so it's ideal for it. But you also get the forage.
Yep.
That the ground either melts or grows on the south-facing slope. So they get just a little bit of extra in a bunch of different ways. But people always think, oh, they bet on south-facing slopes, and
all the time.
they try to in the winter, yes. But, you know, if the wind's wrong, they're not going to. But they try to make it work when they can.
Yep, it's crazy because last year, this past spring, I would say, a place I always go religiously year after year, and it always produces. Every year it produces. Last year, I think I found, in total, the first time I walked it kind of early in case there were some late drops from the year before. And I found 7 within a 150-yard stretch on the same hillside. And one matching set, the rest were all half racks. So I was like, I know there's going to be more. Some of them are fresh.
When do you start?
The earliest I've ever started was I got a wild hair up my ass one time at the end of January.
Wow.
That year I found 48, and I actually found 2. They were relatively fresh. They didn't have blood on them, but they were fresh. They still had the wax ring and everything. Yeah. And I was like, okay, like I guess it's time to start looking. And I started.
Well, the reason
early.
I was asking is because, you know, a lot of guys, depending on the areas, they try to wait until, you know, a lot of guys say March.
Yep.
So then you are getting those match sets.
Exactly.
You
but
know?
With the public land thing, it's becoming more and more popular. As I've seen it become more popular over the last 3 years, I would guess.
Absolutely. It's another thing to post pictures of and swing dick about.
It's everything. It's and I've noticed some of the places no human trace, very little, if so, very little. And I started noticing more and more people sign, like traces of a human being there, and that triggers me too, which sucks because if I had a honey hole that was pretty good to me, now somebody else finds it, and this all stems back to, I don't care what anybody says, they're a fucking liar if they say anywhere that's, oh, I've got this honey hole, nobody knows about it, suck my dick, because there's no way, dude. There's no way. Everybody knows or has hunted somewhere. I can't tell you how many times, like, man, I got this good spot, and an older guy or older gentleman, they would be like, used to hunt that 15, 20 years ago. I know exactly where you're talking about.
I have gone so much more into public land, especially this year, but starting last year, really, but especially this year, because of losing so much of my private land. And from so much of the bullshit. I mean, I was experiencing more bullshit on private land and trespassers and everything else than I experienced
well
in
be hunting public.
Exactly. But you know, it's I won't give any details away about this, but I scouted a spot out last season, late season, found a spot that I was like, this is the hidden honey hole. Like, this is like you were just talking about. There's a hidden honey hole. And I was like, no one else is going to think to hunt this spot. I was like, it's tiny. It's not far from trails. It's not the hardest spot to get to.
And they're the best spots
Exactly.
on public land.
And
I tell people
no
all the
one
time.
else is going to be hunting this. So I went in to hunt it late season. And I climb up this one tree in the dark. And my climber gets hung up. I'm like, what the fuck? There's a bow hanger or just a little peg to hang a bow or your bag in the back of that tree. Now, the tree had completely swallowed it. So fast forward to this year, September, I call a buddy of mine that I know has hunted this piece of public for a decade or better. And he and I know each other. We've never hunted, but I knew he hunted there. So I called him up and I said, hey, I'm not looking for spots, anything else. I said, I've just never hunted here early season. And before I make the drive all the way there, I just want to know if this area I'm thinking about going is even fucking accessible. Because it's thick late season. I literally didn't know. Yeah, literally. It may be a spot that you literally cannot fucking get into. So I was just trying to save myself the drive, you know, and we start bullshitting for a while. And I say, man, I found this one spot. And we start talking a little bit, and I was describing it. I said, and I didn't think anybody be fucking hunting. I said, you ain't gonna believe it. There's a fucking hanger up in the tree. And he is like, that's my fucking tree. I was like, what? He's like, that's my fucking tree. He's like, I would not have told you about that spot if you didn't find it. He's like, it took me 10 years of hunting this place to fine tune into that. He said, but I think he said $7 or $8 he's taken from that one tree on public land. But again, that was his honey hole. He thinks no one else is hunting it. And there I am, and I found the same fucking tree. And there I am thinking no one hunts it, and there's a guy that's taking $7, $8 from it, you know?
And it's amazing that there's so much public land. And there's a lot of stuff that the DNR doesn't list. Believe it or not, I found places that do exist that might not necessarily be
publicized.
Meet their like quota, I guess, to be on the posted the maps on their website where you can go and check everything out, and you can slide in there, and there's a lot of stuff to hunt, man. And there's a lot there's some big tracks that you have to walk, especially over on the Eastern Shore.
Yeah,
not necessarily the marsh and everything, but up and down the whole Eastern Shore, there is blocks of public. There's plenty of places to go. I mean, for whatever you want to hunt, there's public places to duck hunt.
I'll tell you what. That has been the biggest game changer about going to the Saddle and Wild Edge Steps this year is I can fit everything inside of a backpack. And because of how I can carry it comfortably, I will go deep into fucking public land. And I may get up a tree. Yesterday morning, I went in this spot, climbed up a fucking tree. Sun started coming up 20 minutes later. I had blue light, and I wanted to get to the edge of this big laurel thicket. Mm-hmm. And sun started coming up, and I'm like, well, fuck me.
Not where I need to be.
I'm in the middle of a giant open patch of woods. I'm next to a fucking 10-yard round chunk of laurel. But I'm walking in the dark, and I'm like, oh, here's the edge of the laurel thicket. I remember scouting this. Here's the edge pop up. So I climbed down, moved another probably 300 yards, and popped up again all before 7 o'clock.
And now it's even easier because it's not necessarily those deer aren't on edge as much. They're too worried about being chased.
And now I can walk in slowly, looking ahead. And dude, I don't know how many times I've gone in or out of the woods in and around November and had deer almost run me over.
Yeah, if you really take your time and almost,
I
if you've
mean,
got the time in the evenings going in, if you can't make it out in the morning, or you're going in for a midday sit, to almost still hunt your way in.
yes,
And it's
absolutely.
you never know.
A buddy of mine just picked up a new piece of property, went in the other night, and he saw a fucking hammer, absolute hammer, chasing does, and they all ran right by him. And he said, man, I want to get back in there, but I don't think I'll get off work early enough. And he was hunting from the ground. He was ground hunting. I said, dude, I would not fucking hesitate to go back there. Even if it's for the last fucking hour.
All it takes is a split second for something to change.
Walk 15 yards, wait 5 minutes. Walk 15 yards, wait 5 minutes.
Never know.
And he got antsy and started speeding up a little bit and, kind of moving a little more than still hunting. And he did bump some, but he walked almost right into him. Yeah. This time of year, I tell you, I kind of don't even want to say this, but I really think that'd be an effective way to hunt sick deer too. It'd be tough, and you're gonna fucking walk right into people because you're gonna walk right under them.
You're gonna end up on a fucking Facebook page somewhere. This fucking asshole, he come in here. This guy climbed up a tree, and then he walked underneath of me at prime time. Well, yeah. As shitty as it sounds, that's public land, dude.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
I tell you, sick deer's a fucking weird thing, man. Like, I get it. It is kind of a hidden gem of the Eastern Shore, or was.
I was going to say, there's one key word in there that needs to be is was.
And the thing is, for the Eastern Shore culture, it is fairly deeply rooted.
It is.
It's pretty cool. I actually had a guy contact me after I was posting some sick deer stuff. His grandfather has the first ever registered sick deer, because they were just killing them for years, and then DNR
people
said
even knew that they were there, really.
And then DNR said, okay, we got to establish a season and something else. So he actually has the first sick deer ever recorded with DNR, and he actually has the oldest sicka on record, which was 26 years old. 26-year-old Spike.
And you think, and what do they say, a whitetail, roughly, if they're lucky, make it to 10.
Oh,
if they're lucky.
Yeah. I mean, an 8-year-old whitetail is getting ancient.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but I had a lot of people kind of give me some shit when I started talking about sicka hunting. And I'll be completely honest. I have learned some things on my own, and then questioned and talked to people, and actually had some people teach me some things that I don't think I would share that information yet. I mean, there is some pieces. I don't think there's anything whitetail hunting that I know that I wouldn't share.
Yeah.
But at this point, there are a few tricks up my sleeve for sicka that I kind of feel like I got to hang on to for myself. But the thing is, have you seen the new Meat Eater?
Yeah.
Did you see the sick deer episode?
I actually watched it.
Yeah,
my buddy actually called me up and was like, I know you don't really watch stuff.
It's fucked now.
He's like, I know you don't really watch this shit, but dude, just do me a favor. When you're making jigs or something, go pull up your iPad or something, pull up Netflix and watch the sick deer episode. And, I don't know how I feel about it, because I'm not real big. I remember, because I pretty much grew up hunting down that way. My dad belonged to a club down there in Toddville, and he's been there for years. He actually hunted Blackwater. He was hunting sick deer when Blackwater first opened.
Gotcha.
So he's been down there for a while, and he's been part of a hunting club down there in Toddville. And I remember as a kid driving down there to go hunt. I remember when you couldn't shoot them during the late 3-day rifle. There was no season for sick deer for a late rifle. And you drive down the road, and that was my thing. It was right around my birthday in January. So my dad's like, you doing good in school? We're going to go down and hunt that Friday, Saturday. So it was cool.
Proper incentive to do well in school.
Exactly. And when I would go down there as a kid, I remember very vividly driving down that road and seeing 6-pointers, hinds, spikes, stags, all over the road. And as I got older, I was like, man, like I started keying in on it a little bit. And I remember when I was a kid, I specifically remember going down for the late rifle when they were still closed. I was probably 13 at the time, maybe. And I never forget coming down the road. It was snowing, had about 6 inches of snow on the road. And there was about 5 hinds in the road. And there was the biggest fucking sick deer I've ever seen in my life. And I tell people to this day, even I remember it vividly as a kid. And
a true mini elk.
a fucking giant. Like a deer you look at now that somebody would post and you'd be like, holy fuck. Like that
Stag
is a giant.
of a lifetime.
That's a giant.
Yeah.
But it wasn't uncommon back then to see them on the road. And I don't know if it has to do with the pressure, amount of people, which I'm sure it does because nobody hunted them. Nobody talked about them. When we hunted, it was never like, oh man, we're going to go down there and hunt the marsh and shit. It was, yeah, we're going to go hunt a couple of our pieces that had them and we'd chase whitetails down Salisbury and stuff like that. And then it was, yeah, well, we killed a couple whitetails. We'll go try to kill some siccas. And it was, I never thought of it at any time. Just like me and my buddy were actually talking about coming back there the other day. And he was like, did you ever think in your lifetime that people would be going this fucking nuts about snakeheads in Maryland? I said, dude, it never crossed my mind. And
dude, that is
people get, I don't know what they get more bent about with sick deer or fucking snakeheads.
That has added to the sick deer hunting.
Now you can do the 2-for-1.
Yes.
You can go catch snakeheads in between your six.
And I don't
one
give
or
a
the
fuck
other.
what anybody says. That to me is the Maryland surf and turf, man.
Yep.
And that's the surf and
beat it.
turf. Now you get a snakehead fillet and a fucking sicka backstrap. That is the exotic, the Maryland surf and turf for real.
The
but
invasive surf
dude,
and turf,
like
right?
think about Wolfords.
Yeah.
Dude, I bet you they have experienced. I'd be willing to say a fucking 700% increase,
If not more.
If not more. I don't think I'm exaggerating at all saying that.
No, absolutely not. Because you see,
you used to be able to park in the parking lot.
Yeah, now you can't.
Now
everybody goes there for lunch, and
it's both
cool.
sides of the roads are lined up.
It's. I mean, it's.
When are they going to fix that fucking door, though? That's how you know the newcomers to Wolford. They open the door, it stops and smack themselves with it. You got to know the door.
Exactly. But yeah, like a lot of guys get bent out of shape with people. I guess it's playing both sides of the fence here. I don't think one way or the other. I'm not against releasing them, I guess, or I'm not against killing everyone I catch. But
it's to the point where and you know, through monitoring and DNR and everything else, they realize we're not fucking getting rid of them. You are not getting rid of them. It doesn't matter if we kill every one we catch,
or you let them go.
Yep. So if you want to call it so you can you know, release them so you can get the bigger ones, I honestly don't see an issue with it now
because what the damage is done, you're not going to. There's nothing you can do.
The shit that
I don't even think you could drop a fucking nuke on them and kill them.
The amount is immeasurable.
Yeah, it is. Because you see guys posting kill pics of hundreds. I mean, you guys bang them up all summer long.
Oh, yeah.
Like fucking murder them all summer long.
We were lighting them up.
And a lot of people don't realize that they're everywhere.
Dude.
Like, they're by my house.
Oh,
they're in every river in this bay. I've seen some of them get caught down what's that marina down in St. Mary's County, down by Solomon's? Fuck, I can't think of the name of it, but they caught them down there, and people are like, oh, the fucking salinity's so high, there's no fucking way. I'm telling you, they are like the true...
You know what I think it is, though? I think it's when we get massive storms, I think they're able to follow the fresher water currents, and that's how they end up in these different spots. Yeah. I think there was also a lot of fucking bucket biologists, though, man.
There's a ton.
Dude, the way that they spread, there is no way that people were not helping spread them.
And I know people that are going to give you shit about releasing them. I know people who get bent about you catching every one of them and killing them this big, but they bitch about all the people coming around like the fish and everything. I get the trash thing. 'Cause
Yes.
that's fucked up.
Down the shore, I
like
get
they
it.
never really saw that because
Yeah.
the volume of people.
And
They
there's
might have
just a
seen
lot
some.
of disrespect.
Yeah, there is. And
With,
it's,
with the trash, with the way people park.
exactly.
I mean, if you have a boat,
especially when guys are trying to, farmers are trying to combine and shit,
Yeah.
and you're fucking hanging out in the road, they're going to be pissed off. I
and
would
if
be
you
too.
got a boat you want to put in, you got to ask 7 fucking people
To move.
their fucking trucks that aren't supposed to be parked there, and then you're the dickhead.
Yeah.
Because you're using the public boat ramp that people just chose to park in.
Exactly. There's a
you
lot
know-
of drama involved in it, but I think I agree that it's kind of a good thing that they're bringing the business and everything to them local guys down there and all that. It's opening up a new dimension to a sense, but
I don't think anyone down there likes it though.
no, they don't. They absolutely don't,
mean,
because that's
anybody that knows shore billies know that they just kind of like to
they like
to be on
themselves,
there.
man.
They don't want they don't want another bridge across the bay to
Fuck no.
allow easier access to these.
And I'm going to be the one working on it. So,
Which
I mean,
is
I
fucked
know.
up is because we're the one buying all their seafood and keeping them all in business.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's the double-edged sword of it. And I talk about this for all kinds of hunting. Do you want more duck hunters out there in these spots and hunting? Fuck no. But we need more duck hunters
Goes
to
towards
keep
conservation and everything.
exactly to keep the lands and the preserves and to keep the money in the protection and the monitoring and everything else, and just to keep fucking hunting as a legal right.
Yeah.
We need more hunters. But at the same time,
You're
it's
like,
like,
fuck,
fuck,
damned
I
if you do,
want more.
damned if you
Yeah,
don't.
it's that
But, like,
double-edged sword, bro. Just like I was saying. Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen that guy Sam Soholt that does a lot of public. He's a real big public land advocate. He did the pass it on thing with the stamps, and he donated. He bought it was like $2,000 worth of stamps, and he was like 98% of this or 99% of it, I forgot the exact number, goes directly, has to be used for conservation, for wildlife conservation. So he bought 2,000 stamps as kind of a movement, and I think last time I checked, he's up to I want to say almost $20,000 in the past couple weeks. He's got people. He put a thing up, and now it was even better that he gave back by. He was like, all right, if you buy a T-shirt from because all he makes T-shirts and shit for public land. He's a real big public land advocate. He hunts all over the world, travels and shit, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. If you buy a T-shirt or something from me from my website, I'll send you a fucking federal duck stamp for free.
Wow.
So he's, in a way, he's giving back to the conservation effort.
Absolutely.
And he's giving back to maybe people who are big deer hunters or elk hunters and shit.
Maybe you don't have the necessity to buy a federal duck stamp because you're not going duck hunting. But if you like the shirt, now you got a shirt and you've given to conservation.
And all you got to do is buy your state stamp now, and a couple of your buddies that might duck hunt, and they're like, hey man, you want to come on this? And who knows, you might get hooked on duck hunting and stuff. And
that's why that's why I buy that Skull Brew coffee. I don't know if you ever heard of Skull Brew, but they give back. Yeah. It all goes, I believe it's 2% from the beginning, and then they put an additional 10% of their profit goes back to conservation. And I'm not sure who said this, but if it wasn't him, but buddy of mine, Connor, Whitetail Drifter, he says this all the time, and I'm not sure if this was his original quote, so can't say that, but he always says, it's not ours, it's just our time.
Exactly.
And that's the truth of it. We don't own any of this shit, no. But it's our time to enjoy it. And again, the people showing up at the Eastern Shore, and a lot of them, it's not theirs.
No.
So they don't give a fuck when they leave trash. They don't give a fuck when they tear the banks apart the way they're parking and everything else. They don't give a fuck when they're just...
They don't realize they're parking on somebody's fucking property.
Yeah.
And they wonder why... And, that guy's the dickhead because he can't get in his fucking driveway to get to his house because he's got 3 trucks lying down his driveway that shouldn't be there. But then he's the bad guy.
They're forgetting... They're only looking at the part that it's not ours.
And I tell people all the time, man, don't shit where you eat.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing is a lot of them people down the shore, they'll give you the shirt off your back. If you get stuck in a ditch, they'll fucking pull you out. but don't fuck them over.
Oh yeah,
Don't fuck them over.
absolutely.
Because they can make your life a living hell if they want to.
Yeah,
Because
and I get it. And a big thing that was going on when I just went down there, with that king tide that they had going on, along with that nor'easter hanging off the coast, fucking tide levels and the water levels rose to what they haven't been since Isabella.
Yeah.
And, there's people flying up and down the road to go fishing and mostly deer hunting and not realizing, like, you're throwing wakes and waves
At
into
people's
homes.
that's
Yes.
going in there. And I see the same thing on the street that I live on. The tide gets so high, it'll actually come through the street grates, through the gutters. And there's a couple houses on my street that they're ground level. They're not elevated. And there was a point when them tides came up, the water was 6 inches, a foot from their fucking front door.
No shit.
So they would get pissed off, and you have to, and it's people in the neighborhood that I live in.
Yeah.
That no respect will just,
And here's the thing. I get it. I would say probably maybe even more than half didn't even think about it.
No.
Didn't even, it didn't cross their mind. And if it did, then they would adhere to it. But again, you have some, it's not mine.
Yep.
And they don't think about
It's not my house.
exactly.
Not my problem.
They don't think that
I
it's
didn't
not
choose to live
mine.
in
It's
that
just
house.
my time, and that to be considerate. And I tell you what, there's nothing in the fucking world that pisses me off more than being inconsiderate.
And it doesn't take any effort at all.
I know. It
takes more
that's my
effort to be
biggest-
inconsiderate than it does
it's
to actually
my
be
biggest
considerate.
pet peeve. I will go out of my way and do shit just to make sure I'm not being inconsiderate.
Exactly.
And I think it's also because I get so fucking pissed off about it that I can't be hypocritical about it. It's like I got to make sure I'm not being the one doing that.
But even that right there, what you're saying about is being inconsiderate. I see a lot of that with public land. Like if I'm going to, like, per se, a duck hunting spot, and I pull up to a parking lot and there's 3 trucks there, I've already got a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, a plan E even. So I'm not going to fuck their hunt up just to say, oh, them motherfuckers came out here. I actually had it one time. We were hunting a spot on the Eastern Shore, and we were sitting in the parking lot. We knew that it was starting to get a lot of pressure, and there was a bunch of birds around. And we got there at like 11 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. And we sat in the truck and we took shift sleeping. So when somebody showed up, we were going to walk out and we were going to get our spot. And we had 2 older guys pull up, and they said, where are you going to hunt? Said, we're going to hunt right here. Told them exactly where we were going to go. And he said, okay, we're going to hunt right here around this point. I said, dude, you're 20 yards from us. He said, I don't give a fuck. We've been hunting here for our entire fucking life. You ain't going to tell me where the fuck I'm going to hunt. And at that point, instant asshole mode wanted to kick in and tell him to go fuck himself. But they did end up coming out and setting up right there. But the only thing I can give them kind of a respect factor for was they said, we're not going to shoot at any swinging birds. If they decoy to you guys, you shoot them. If they decoy to us, we'll shoot them. Either way, they were fucking hunting there.
Yeah.
And we were where we wanted to be. We had the X pretty much. And we burned them. I think we shot, and I mean, all good ducks. We shot 18 gadwalls, mallards, and widgeon before they pulled the trigger. And then we only needed, I think, 4 or 5 more for a limit at this point that this happened. And I heard a lone gadwall just fucking sound like the Roadrunner. Bam, bam. And look up, man, and I'm not exaggerating when I tell you 400 or 500 puddle ducks. Mixture of everything coming in a flock, coming straight to us. Not even making a wing beat. And these fucking assholes picked up and shot at them on the pass when they were coming over. We still ended up killing 4 or 5 out of it. But it was just that thing, man. It's just like, I wouldn't do that. And then that exact spot, that's exactly why I don't hunt down there anymore. Because I gave up hunting around here because of the bullshit I dealt with. And I'm like, I'm not fucking doing that. So I'm going to go somewhere else. I went down. I did my time. I researched. I went to all the blind site drawings in other counties and shit. And then it was good for about 3 years. And I started dealing with fucking bullshit down there. And I was like...
See, that's one of the big things about the bullshit now is, though, that you get the guys... You put in your work.
Yeah.
You put in your work. You go down to these other blinds. You don't go in blind. You know where you're going. You got a couple plans. And pretty much everyone that does that is kind of on the same level.
Yeah, and they respect that.
Exactly. There's that common respect. But now with, I mean, social media hunters.
Oh, dude.
I mean, you got so many Facebook scouters.
Fucking sickening, dude.
It
literally is. It blows my mind. I was actually talking to a buddy of mine the other day. I was thinking about deleting all of my social media besides Facebook for my business and stuff, but I was going to delete everything. But I was like, dude, I'm not going to post shit. I'm not going to post nothing because you wouldn't believe how many people I've been around and see them. They're like, oh, they'll zoom in on a picture and they'll be like, I know exactly where the fuck he's hunting at.
Yep.
I know exactly what he's doing. Or you'll get these guys and
that's why I used to post all the time on my Instagram story and shit. I never do anymore because I'm hunting public land a lot of times.
Somebody's going to be right in your fucking back
I've
pocket.
had people, I swear to God, more than once, I've had people like scouting my truck to see where the fuck I am.
And it's
and that's why I've stopped doing it for the most part.
Dude, it's so crazy because
bow fishing, fine.
Everything.
Because fine, you want to know what fucking boat ramp I'm at, fine.
That's cool.
But follow me out. You figure it out.
That's
It's a lot of fucking area.
Like you said,
out
that's
there.
a whole new level to this shit. And it's
it's the, like I said, the guys that put in their work and the guys that do shit for themselves and the guys that figure it out. You have that common respect for each other and that common grind.
Yeah.
It's the guys that haven't put in the work that are usually the ones that don't give a fuck.
And they're usually the guys that'll step on your toes before somebody who doesn't know.
Yep.
Like, and I see that a lot, and that goes to the next point I was about to jump to, that you've got guys that genuinely don't know.
Yes.
And they don't because it could be one of them guys that just got into it. They're like, hey, I want to try duck hunting or something, or I want to try rock fishing, and I want to get out there and try. And they ask a question, and you'll always have them fucking assholes that'll be like, why don't you get on your fucking boat and go figure it out just like everybody else did? He might not necessarily be asking for anything. He might just be asking for what you're using.
Yeah.
Or asking you what to do so he doesn't
There's a difference in trying to learn.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was a big thing this year in the fall, which Facebook started blowing everything up when fall rock fishing started. One guy actually posted on the Chesapeake Rock Fishing Reports page. He said, hey, I want to know how to properly work birds so I don't fuck up anybody else fishing them. What is the proper way to go about them, whether it be drifting or going to them? What are they doing? He's like, I just want to know so I don't fuck your time up and we can all enjoy it together, which is, I have no problem with that. And you will always have those
ate up.
And you will always have those fucking smart asses that'll be a dickhead. But believe it or not, on that page, there's actually a lot of guys that will help you out. I'm all for helping somebody out if you also put in the time as well. But I'm also, if you're trying to learn.
You're all for helping out someone who will help themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like they'll go out and figure it out.
If you're not willing to help yourself out, then I ain't
There's guys that'll literally say, hey, where are the fish at right now? I'm trying to go out.
I tell them every time they ask. The wet spot.
In the fucking water.
The wet spot.
But like, it's to the point now, and there are places out on the bay that not a lot of people fish, but there is a lot of places that are well known. Like the Bay Bridge.
Yep.
I never, in my lifetime, never saw the amount of fucking boats that I saw there for that time period, which is usually where I start jigging at every year. It's obviously no fucking secret now that I would always start there at the beginning of my year. And I kind of have a pattern from journals and years of doing it and figuring them out. The first year I ever started light tackle jigging, when I got into it, I fucking sucked. Like big time. I don't even think I caught a limit, but maybe 2 times. And I went out a lot. And the days I had success, I started putting together logs, water temperature, highs and lows of the day, the tide I caught them on,
wind direction.
And those fucking fish are almost to a T of where they always go. Sometimes I go out and I don't catch a fucking thing. Like the other night I went out, I didn't catch a fucking thing, and I looked all over the place. And I was like, okay, I got to go back to what I know. I kind of went on a gamble on looking at new places to figure out if it would be somewhere that would potentially be a place to return to in the years to come that might benefit, that they might just hold there, whatever, just to stumble on something. But man, you got so much shit going on that, and even on a boat, it's hard. Because if people know what your boat looks like, and they know you catch fish, or they know what you're doing, they're going to be up your fucking ass.
Yep.
And
most of them, again, are disrespectful about
exactly.
it.
And
again, if there's a guy that wants to fish the same area, okay, I'm going to stay this distance apart. You're not going to cut off, the stream coming straight up.
Exactly.
And you're going to, you're going to be respectful about it. It's the guys that just don't give a fuck, that don't want to figure it out themselves. Everything
it's most
else.
of the guys that want to be like, I've got to post a picture. I've got to catch a limit. I've got to do this to validate themselves as a fisherman or a hunter. And that's the biggest fucking problem. To me it is, because I don't give a shit. I'm not a fucking big deer hunter. Like, I was never born and raised to target trophy bucks. Now when I go in the woods, when I very rarely do, I'm not shooting a fucking scrub 4-pointer when I can shoot a fucking doe.
Yep,
because that might be somebody's trophy.
Yep.
I've killed plenty of smaller bucks. I've killed some decent ones, but I've never killed a fucking giant. And a guy told me one time when I was down the marsh, and it was funny because my buddy drugged me out the muzzleloader hunt about 3 or 4 years ago, and this guy had a big fucking 6-pointer hanging up on his trailer. He had one of them hitches, the hanger hitch, and he was skinning that deer in the parking lot. And he was like, I almost didn't shoot this deer. And I looked at that deer and I was like, that's a fucking monster 6. Like, that's a big 6 to anybody. And he was like, I almost didn't shoot him because I'm a deer hunter. I deer hunt from September to January. I don't duck hunt. I don't do shit. I fucking deer hunt. And he said, you want to kill a stag like this? I said I would love to. He said, don't shoot a small 6. Don't shoot a small 4. Don't shoot a hind if you want to kill a big one. He's like, if you put your fucking time in and you sit here, one of these big bastards will walk by you. He's like, It is a matter of time, because I do believe that there is some, to a sense, as maybe there's a little bit of a way to pattern them, but I never got big into it. But they're more of a nomad. They do their own thing.
Yeah, sick of deer's not like whitetail.
No, they're not at all. You can't even compare them in that sense. That a whitetail will come to a fucking corn pile every day at the same time. Even a sick of deer won't do that. Yeah,
and man, I tell you, the baiting for sick of deer, I've baited for whitetail, and I don't anymore, really. It's just not my thing, but I don't think I could hunt a fucking sicko over bait, dude. Like, they build decks
in the fucking water.
You have a giant deck that these deer are chilling on to fucking eat. Like, that to me is
they end up sleeping on it half the
time. I mean, that's like saying, I'm gonna put out some bait for whitetail. Like, let's go hunt. I got a spot I'm baiting for whitetail. Come on, and you get out there, and it's a fucking pavilion for the deer. You're gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Who does this
But
shit?
You're right. The sick of deer, I really do think they're more nomadic.
Like, even when I hunted them a lot, and we had clubs and stuff, and we would bait them, and like we had whitetails and sickas, and we would bait them.
I think they're smarter. Because like you said, too.
Very rarely did I ever shoot one over a corn pile. They always came at night, and if they do, it's funny, because a lot of people that are going to listen to this, they're going to remember this, and I'm telling you, you're going to fucking thank me for it one day. I don't care what you say, and I'll give up this one. 10 to 2 on a full moon, and you will fucking kill a sick of deer. Your chance is better than sitting in that tree at 6 o'clock in the morning or going back in and sitting there till dark. If you sit in the middle of that day, I've had more trail camera pictures of deer coming to, like, a movement at all, period. Not necessarily just coming to bait, of stags in general, hinds, anything. I think the moon plays a huge part in what they do.
You a while ago when, you and I have talked through social media for a long time. We've hung out bowfished once before, but we've kept in contact about shit for a long time, and comment just back and forth on shit. And I remember saying one time, and it was, I really got the sicka bug bad a few years ago, and I spend a lot of time where I should be in the whitetail woods. I'm in the marsh instead, like just chasing them fuckers.
They almost
screaming.
engulf you when you get.
Yeah,
it's almost like an obsession that you get with them for some reason. I don't know what it is about them, but they attract you and they draw
Dude,
you to
it's
them.
like it's a mix between deer and turkey hunting.
It's like
it
they
takes
catch
all the cool shit about deer hunting, all the cool shit about turkey hunting, puts them together. It just happens to be in a miserable fucking spot to do it.
with mosquitoes,
But
water,
yeah,
sinkholes.
but I remember telling you, I was like, dude, I swear, I'm like, I really think that they don't make as much noise, but they move more midday. And you're like, that's something we figured out over the years too.
It is,
like
and it's and like you said, like the thing about it's like turkey hunting in a sense that they are way more responsive to a call than a whitetail is.
Oh,
I don't care.
absolutely.
Anyway, even all year,
100%.
even all year, not necessarily
100%.
during their rut. They're very vocal. They're
Yes.
like elk,
Yeah.
which typically
Again, if you listen to the
family.
last episode that I posted, all the vocalizations, just the
Dude, they have
hinds
so
coming
much.
through.
They have so
It's
many.
fucking crazy.
Stags growl, they bugle, the
Dude.
hinds mew, they chirp, they do all kinds of shit.
I about
man.
fell out of my fucking tree one time. I was getting out to this spot super early because every time I would get there, the deer were already there. So I was like, I'm going to get there early as I legally can. Got out there and I literally took my safety harness and instead of strapping it around the tree above me, I tied it under my armpits and to the fucking tree tight because I was like, I'm falling the fuck asleep.
Oh yeah.
Like, I knew I was going to fall asleep. I had plenty of time before sunup, and I was dead asleep. Little bit of wind going on, and you can't hear shit with that frag grass when the wind's blowing. Dude, and one screamed fucking... I mean, it was less than 30 yards in front of me, and I didn't hear it coming in, did nothing. Like, I'm fucking dreaming at this point. And when that fucker screamed, I mean, you want to talk about just straight chills.
Instant adrenaline
Oh,
rush.
dude. Oh,
Instant.
but where's the sun? Like, come the fuck
Yeah.
on. That happens so much to me with Sika, and I don't know if it's the spots that I pick or what it is, but almost every fucking time I'm Sika hunting, I have deer under me in the dark. And it's like when that sun comes up, it's like, fuck, 10 minutes.
Yep.
If it had been up 10 minutes earlier, they were right fucking under me.
It's crazy, man.
I've
I've been out there sometimes, not necessarily in their rut, but you can hear them, and especially on a still morning, you can hear them from way out, walking through that marsh, and even the ones that are loud going through the tall frag, you'll hear the ones in the dark. If you're just sitting there and you close your eyes and you literally listen, and that marsh just engulfs you.
Yep.
It takes you in, and you can hear that. Just them popping their
Yep.
feet,
You
and they
hear-
don't make a
And
fucking
once you
noise.
know that noise,
Never forget it.
Yep, it's unmistakable.
It'll have you reaching for your bow or
You
your
know,
gun.
and
in a
I
heartbeat.
took a buddy of mine, D-Rock. It was his first time ever going out there, and he took we just had. It was an epic morning. It was one of those mornings where the temperature was perfect. It was windy getting out there, so we had cover. And then as the sun came up, it was a cold, clear, crisp morning, and the wind started to die. Like, just a picture fucking perfect morning. And, he took a video of just, panoramic little video going around. And another buddy of mine, the other Ryan Davis you met, my Ohio buddy, R Dizzle, his comment was, "It sounds like fucking Jurassic Park." And I was like, dude, it pretty much is. Like, when you're out there and you hear all
Got
the different
nutrient
birds
shit making their noises, the grunting and whistling,
and the
shit.
fucking fox squirrels, the Delmarva squirrels, that are bigger
of a
than most
fucking
people's
2-liter.
house cats.
The size of a 2-liter.
All the different ducks, all the different birds. Like, you think the marsh is fucking desolate
zone.
until it comes awake,
Live.
and it's like, holy fuck!
Like, how does anything live out here?
yeah, and it's like Jurassic Park.
And it's crazy because you'll be out in the marsh a ways away from like pretty much anything, and you'll see like fucking raccoons crawling through the water.
Did you see the video of the fox I walked up on?
Sleeping?
Yeah. So what happened that morning? This was going on during that king tide, and I didn't know anything about that tide at this time. Went down there with a couple buddies, Jarrett and Sean. Went out, and it was my first time out for Sika this season. And right after the sun came up, I had 3 spikes and a hind. And I let the 2 spike. Well, at first it was just 3 spikes. and they're working, and I actually let one of them pass me, and then the others are coming, and then a hind caught up with them. Let another spike pass, had the hind, and then the spike coming a little later, smoked the hind. I hit her a little far back, and people who know sick of deer, their vitals are a little bit farther forward. They're tucked tighter forward and a little bit lower, and it's also just a smaller target. So I hit her a little bit back, but I knew she was fucking dead. And this was right after sunup. And my buddy's only a couple 100 yards away. The other deer are working straight toward him. And I was like, cool. I got time to hang out, do whatever, and maybe a stag will show up. And a few hours later, saying I'm probably going to get down and look soon. And I look, and I can't see my fucking arrow anymore. That tide rose 8 inches from when I shot her to when I got down. My arrow's now completely underwater. And now everything that she was bleeding on is underwater. And just couldn't fucking find anything. Just where she rubbed up against some frag, but every time she hit an open spot, it was dead tough. Zone. Yeah. So I saw a cluster of trees, and it was the furthest cluster out in the marsh. And I was like,
she's going to go for dry ground.
That if she is alive enough to be conscious and not just losing blood pressure and dying, if she's thinking, yes, that's where she's going to go bad. And it's the hardest spot to get to everything. And that's why I got on the downwind side of it, and I approached it super slow because I was looking for that hind bedded. And when I saw that fox, at first I thought he was dead.
He was laying there like
the way he was laying, I thought he was dead. And then he took a deep breath, and I was like, oh shit. And that's when I got my phone out and just started creeping up on him. Yeah. But yeah, you never know what the fuck's out there, man.
You don't.
It's so cool.
You don't. That's a lot of cool. And it's just one of them other things that throw you a curveball out there. Like you said, the tide came up and the blood trailing through frag. If anybody's never done it, it's hard as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it's really fucking hard, especially if you didn't smoke them.
Yep.
Like, and the worst part is,
because they have that little bit of that wool undercoat where they don't bleed, and they're also
hardcore
have
motherfuckers.
that fat. Oh yeah, they're 10
tough
times.
bastards.
They're 10 times tougher.
They put a
than
whitetail
any
to shame
whitetail.
with being tough.
And us. Okay, this is perfect time to talk about this too. Us talking about this, the way we're talking about it, it's in a way a lot like what I saw from Meat Eater. You're hearing the best of it. Like if you look at the way Ranella shot shot that high in that stag, how fucking often do they just drop like that?
Never.
Exactly.
Never.
They're the toughest motherfuckers ever. But the 3 you see get shot in that episode drop.
Bolt like a motherfucker.
Yeah. But
they make it look easy.
That's what I mean. And people are going to flood to the fucking marsh thinking, oh, cakewalk. Yeah, you just go stand and you blow on a call and they come running.
They're little deer. I'm going to drop them where they're standing at.
Dude.
If it happens to you,
a lot of people will say and tell you they've taken a good bit of people to the marsh, and a good bit of them go one time.
And they'll never go back.
Exactly. That's what I mean. They'll go one time, and they're like, this is not for me. I am not willing to put in that fucking work.
There's 2 things that'll keep somebody out of the marsh. That's a long fucking walk through shitty terrain or fucking mosquitoes.
Yep.
Those 2 things will...
Nothing is worse than them fucking mosquitoes. Actually... This was one of the most trying tests of fucking patience I've ever had. So that morning I was just talking about where I had the 3 stags and the hind. The one stag passes by. The second one is feeding and just happens to fucking reach up to grab some frag and is staring straight at me. And he keeps staring at me and he keeps chewing, but he's just staring at me. And, them fucking pine trees you're in are not very big. And
they're naked.
Yeah, they're naked.
and the fact that there's no backdrop to you.
Yeah, you're in a naked stick.
So when they look up, you're pegged.
Yep.
If they really happen to look up, you're fucked.
And you know how it is with deer too. Like a lot of times they'll look at you, and as long as you don't move, they'll
anything
kind of okay.
They might
they'll
ease
just-
back up and
yeah.
look at you a couple more times
Yeah.
just for some reassurance, but
That's
they're not.
what he was doing, and luckily I have the camera on him, so I can at least look down at my camera
See what he's
screen
doing.
and see his body behavior and demeanor and know what he's doing and if I have a chance to move. While this is going on, a fucking mosquito landed on my eyelid and started biting my fucking eyelid, and I was like trying to blink hard, trying to open my eyes all the way, do anything I can without actually fucking moving because that stag was staring at me. And I swear that was one of the most trying tests of patience I've ever had in my life, was a mosquito biting my fucking eyelid and not moving. And I was literally about to be at that point where I was like, fuck it, I'm not shooting one of these spikes anyway. And just not care.
But deep down inside,
and
like,
then that
the instinct
and then the
kicks in where you
hind,
don't want to move and you don't
and then
want to
the
do
hind
nothing.
came, and I was like, all right, gonna smoke her
The most I've ever been fucked up by mosquitoes is just turkey hunting like that.
down the marsh.
Not down there, but
Oh, God.
near a creek bottom. And
Well,
I
you're
had
a
one.
hardcore turkey hunter
Yeah.
now.
I'm
Have you
like-
always been, or is it seemed like a sickness
I
really
did-
took the
I
past
did,
couple years on you?
I did when I was younger, but it wasn't one of them things like I go every weekend, like turkey hunt. If I get the time, I'm gonna turkey hunt. And I always struggled. Had a hard time with them. I fucked up a lot on them, and I kind of got discouraged a bit. And something clicked one day, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking figure these things out. Like, I'm gonna do something, and I'm gonna fucking figure them out. And once that took over, man, it was just like with anything that catches my interest. If it does, I'm going to fucking get good at it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it until I'm good at it, no matter what it takes. And it took me I can't say serious turkey hunting, but like getting into it more, it took me 7 years to kill one. Long time.
Yeah.
And I fucked up on a lot.
Yeah.
And even when I killed my first one, it's funny because my first turkey ever was a bearded hen, actually. That was the funniest part. And I started learning them, and I always thought you had to be very patient with them, and wait for them. And I learned really quickly what you can get
more
away
aggressive.
with them. And to a certain extent, you can get them. Like, you can get in their fucking back pocket if you're stealthy enough.
And the thing is, in nature, the hen is going to the tom.
Exactly.
In nature, the hen is not sitting in one spot talking, waiting for the tom to come to her. She's listening to that motherfucker sound off, and she's working her way to him.
Exactly. That's
So
part of their whole.
That's how they
Their work.
operate naturally. Absolutely.
And after I killed my first longbeard, it was like, okay, it's like it clicked. But then there was so much shit that I learned, man, that my biggest thing that I had to grow past and break the bad habit of, I would say, would be when they're gobbling and closing the distance. When I was younger, they would stop gobbling, and I would
then
move.
you call.
I would move. I would try to be like, okay, well, he hung up back in there. He must have hens with him. And I can't tell you how many fucking times I stood up and took 3 steps, and that motherfucker was standing 70 yards away in the woods coming.
Yep.
And I couldn't see him, and I was like, fuck. And it took so long to the point where I grew almost a whole new patience to it. There was one point in time, I'd say 3 years ago, I sat, and this was actually when I really not figured it out, but my patience gained. And I understood it, and it was like it just meshed. Was when I sat in the same tree, against the same spot in the same tree for 4 hours. Didn't move, nothing. And it was when it was the first 2 weeks, you had to stop by noon. You can't hunt past noon. And I sat there, and it was windy as fuck. Nothing had gobbled till they were off the roost. They gobbled here and there, very few, but nothing to really keep me going. And I was like, I'm just going to be patient. I was like, I know they come here at some point in time. I'm going to sporadic call. And I was sitting there, and it was windy as shit. And I love a diaphragm. I don't care. Very rarely will I use a box call or a slate, anything.
Gotcha.
It's just not,
Yep.
I don't like the movement. I've pretty much worked my way to master with a mouth call. To
I
do
think you
anything
get more
I can.
emotion in it too.
To do anything, you can do so much more.
Yeah.
You can't
Yep.
you can't do a feed and whistle on a box call or a slate. You can't do none of that, and you can get down to those sounds and the language that they use in a calmer environment. That I think turkeys evolved to hearing.
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, and
same thing.
And that's one of their vocalizations.
One.
That's not what they're doing all
Hundreds.
the time. Yeah,
I'd
they're
say
sitting there.
maybe not hundreds, but I'd say there's in the 20s at least that I've heard, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, what the fuck is that? Like, that's a turkey
just like
making
them.
that.
The
Same
Secretive
thing.
call. A lot of people are like, I've never heard
Heard that.
vocalizations like that. It's like,
And-
well, they don't just make the same. The hen doesn't make one sound all
No.
the time, and the tom make one sound all the
Yeah.
time. That's
Yeah.
not how it works.
And it's
like maybe that's their long range talk.
that's like the basis of it. That's
Yes.
like your high hello,
Yes,
but that's
that's
not your
the long range yelling, but
Yeah.
that ain't working
not,
in close
hey,
in
come
how
over
they
here, let
communicate.
me,
Yeah,
or that doesn't. That and the patience thing and learning their language and actually really paying attention to them, that how they were going to react to something, that some turkeys react very well. And it might depend on, I still have yet to figure this out, and I don't think I ever will, that sometimes you could throw anything at them and they will they'll make you look like a fucking idiot. And sometimes something so simple, it's like they're a fucking kamikaze, dude. They're dying. Like, they know they're dying. Like, it's no doubt. And it was my buddy Ray. I'll never forget this till the day I die. It was the fastest turkey I've ever killed besides my opening day turkey of last spring. And we heard him on the roost. We had a couple of them gobbling. It was me, him, and my dad. And he was gobbling. There was a couple gobbling in the distance, a little farther away. And there was one way back in the back of the property, maybe on the neighboring property. And they would gobble a little bit, and then this one out of nowhere just
hammer,
fucking fired. Every noise, anything, crows, birds, cars hitting the rumble strips on the road, everything, he was fucking going off. He couldn't even breathe. I don't even think he was breathing barely between his gobbles. And he hit the ground and he flew back in the woods. And we're like, all right, we're going to move to him. And we cut off the logging road to cut around. And he gobbled when he hit the ground, called to him. He gobbled right back. We moved like 10 yards, and he had already closed like, I'd say at least 75 yards within us walking 15.
like
that
a
quick.
fucking raptor,
And I was like,
just running.
and we were on this logging road, and I was like, man, he's got to be coming back out to this road. And we were in the woods a little bit away from it. And we had like a berm, like a ditch berm that come out from where they were logging. And I was like, he's got to be close to that road. My dad was like, he's in the fucking road. He just jumped out on the fucking road. So I was like, sit down. We all sat down real quick. And this was at the time my buddy Ray and my dad had never killed a turkey. So we were sitting there, and he come out on the fucking road and he blew up. Called to him real soft, yelped to him, and he picked his head up, and dude, he fucking sprinted, like running. I was like, holy shit, like he's closing the ground that quick. He would stop like every 50 yards. He was like 250 yards down the road. He stopped, strut, called to him, let out, run. And he did this 3 times. And my buddy Ray was sitting on the same tree with me. And I was like, dude, keep your gun up. And we couldn't see him. The berm came up like this. So we were sitting, we were behind it. And I could just see him coming down the road. And once he got to a certain point, you couldn't see him. And you could hear him starting to spitting and drumming. And you knew he was close. And he was like, where's he at? And I'll never forget that he just kept telling me, right, he's running. I was like, I know, I see him. Like, I know. He's like, right, he's running. Like, he's coming. And out of nowhere, I didn't call to him. And I just real soft let out like a little feed whistle. And all I heard was, and I seen his fan right over top the berm. And he turned straight to us. I said, dude, as soon as you can see his head, just fucking whack him. And he was at like 8 steps. And he shot him. He got so fucking panicked up. As soon as he saw his head, he shot him in full strut. Blew straight through his head, straight through the middle of the fucking fan.
Ripped the fan up.
And it gets
everything.
even better. I ended up calling to, and like an hour and a half later, we were sitting there a little ways away, just nothing was gobbling. We were quiet. And we were sitting there. I was sitting on the same tree as my dad, my buddy. We already took this one to the truck. And we come back, and we were sitting there. My buddy Ray was behind us sleeping. And I was calling like every 15 minutes. And I called, and out of nowhere, pow, 2 of them let off. And told my dad, I said, like, well, okay. Like, we got somebody who wants to play. Called to him again. They were like 50 yards closer. And where we were at, we were on set up off another logging road where they did a turnaround. And we had like 2 shooting lanes out to the road. There was a couple dust bowls and stuff on the road. So I was like, they're frequent here. Yeah. We're going to sit here. This is our best chance at having a turkey naturally coming if they're not going to gobble. And they gobbled, and they fucking let off, and they were on the road coming. And I said, put your gun up, and as soon as you fucking see their head come through there, just fucking whack them. And I still had 1 tag left on the year. And he's like, you want to shoot the other one? I was like, just fucking kill one. Kill your first turkey. I was like, we'll go out again. And they stepped out, man. And them motherfuckers, we did not move. And we were probably 30 yards off. We had a lot of cover between us, but we had one little gap. As soon as they hit that gap, they fucking pegged us straight through that shit.
No shit.
Didn't move, nothing. We already had the gun sitting there waiting on him. And as soon as he got in there, he let out that putt.
Probably saw your buddy's eyeballs just open up size of baseballs.
I said, kill him. He shoots him and whacks him. And that was really when it kicked in for me, like big time. And this year, I did a lot more than I used to do. I used to just go in and be like, whatever, turkey hunting, I'll just go in. They're going to do their own thing. Whatever they're going to do during the season, I'll go hunt them. And I went and put in a lot of time.
Well, and you went traveling this year for them too,
yeah,
right?
I went to Kentucky this year. Yeah. That's the first time I ever went out of state to kill one.
See, I know I've gotten spoiled in turkey hunting. My buddy Keith Sherrock, Tattooed in the Wild, Ohio. I really didn't turkey hunt before going out to Ohio and hanging out with him. And dude, we call him the turkey zombie.
Loves it.
Dude, he will not, it's like he will fucking not sleep. He'll not eat. He's just a fucking turkey zombie. Like, he probably helps more people fill tags than fucking guides do. Like, between getting his friends and his family, he fucking lives for it. So the amount of time that I've spent with Keith and talking turkeys and hunting shitty turkey weather and everything else and really grinding for him and never really having it easy, like, I know I got spoiled. I learned a lot by hanging out with him. Like, I'm pretty confident that, this spring I'm going to be able to take everything I've learned from him and put it to work and make shit happen. Yeah, absolutely. Think that it's going to happen. And I'll have to, you say you got picked off. Hopefully this new camo I'm developing, hopefully that shit will help out some. I got some samples of it. I'll show you when we get off here. But yeah, turkey hunting, that's something kind of new to me. But, again, like I said, you're a fucking all outdoorsman. And not only are you out after this stuff, but I see your fucking post, you make decoys.
Yep.
You're making your own duck decoys. You got your CCC shirt, the Chesapeake Custom Creations, which is what you do: jig heads and soft bodies and everything.
I don't do the soft bodies. I actually, I'm not.
But you build kits,
yes,
basically.
Yes. With I support a couple of local guys, and I have a personal relation with them. No money involved, none of that shit. But I promote. I'm one of them guys that I promote shit that fucking works, just like you do.
Yep.
And if I believe in it, I fucking stand by it, and I'll absolutely vouch for them. I will promote their business, and if I believe that it works, I'm not just going to do it because I'm getting fucking paid.
Yep.
Because it has nothing to do with that. But yeah, it's I make a lot of jigs. I mean, you could use them for freshwater, but mostly saltwater. I do a lot of business around here for local guys that light tackle jig the bay.
Well, we've talked a lot about social media and all kinds of different shit and how you and I have stayed in contact in social media. And, one of the things that I think we've always had a kind of relative connection for is like, you can look at your pictures and fuck, sometimes your fish finder looks like it's fucking broken. with the way you got fish stacked underneath you, it looks like it's fucking broken. But you know, one of the things I've always kind of respected about you, and I think we've had this common ground, is we don't talk a lot of shit about how we're good at something. We just show it.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
like I'm not one of them guys. Like I'm not
yeah.
gonna. I learned this quote a while ago, and I don't even consider myself one of the best fishermen in the bay because there's some badass light tackle rock fishermen, not even light tackle fishermen. I'm talking guys who troll, and I can go on and name quite a few guys that are straight fucking killers.
Yeah.
Like they're badass fishermen. They've been doing it for a long time. They fucking mastered it. They constantly place tournaments. They constantly win tournaments, and they're just like anything. It's like my duck hunt. I love fishing and everything, but that's like their fishing, their rock fishing, they take it very fucking serious. Like they do tournaments.
I can probably say this in confidence. They are rock fishermen.
Yes.
That's what I mean. It's and I've said this before. It's very difficult to master one thing when you are involved in so many different things.
Exactly.
When you don't have the time to focus on just ducks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, oh man, you used to deer hunt. I said, you can't be, unless you don't have a fucking job.
Yep.
And you hit the lottery and you're fucking loaded or something. You cannot effectively be
need a sugar
fucking
mama.
Duck hunter or a fucking deer hunter. You're one or the other. You have to pick, because if you want to kill big bucks, you have to put your fucking time in.
Yep.
If you want to kill a lot of ducks, you have to put your fucking time in and scout. You'll have those days where you can just go out somewhere and the migration's so good that you got fresh birds, they're fucking stupid, and you'll kill them. I mean, granted, there's a lot of guys that hunt around here that kind of stroke their own fucking ego on shooting divers and sea ducks and shit like that, but not taking anything away from them. There's plenty of guys who guide and they do the experience for out of state and stuff like that, but there's guys that literally think they're...
But they're the ones that are swinging dick the whole time, talking about how badass they are, and we'll limit out again by fucking 15 minutes. It's just like,
that's when I was younger. That was when I was like 16, 18. That was it. I always went out to kill a fuck. If you didn't kill a limit, you weren't a fucking badass. But as I got older, that's one thing I learned. Really, I kind of calmed down in my older age that I take in more of the experience versus, because I let a lot of shit slip by me. I see a lot of people who lose their friends and they don't get to hunt with them anymore and shit like that. Their father, like stuff like that, man, that shit hits home. Like I wouldn't imagine not being able to hunt with my dad or hunt with my best friends again. Like it would just be, it wouldn't be the same to me. And they're missing all that by, I'm the baddest fucking duck hunter on the East Coast. Cool, bro. If you're not making a fucking living doing it, like some of these guys like Tony Vandemore and fucking Zach White out at Prairie Thunder and shit like that, like if you're not one of those guys, like, that's their life. That's their livelihood. Like they built that. They built that legacy in their name. They built their name. They don't stroke their fucking ego. A lion doesn't have to tell you it's a fucking lion.
Well, that's what I was going to say too. Most of them guys, they're not telling you how badass they are. No, they're showing you what they do. Yeah. You see what they do, and you can make your own fucking assumption.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like they're not going to sit here and promote, I'm the baddest fucking guy. You'll never hear like Tony Vandemore. None of them guys ever say like, I'm the baddest motherfucker to walk the face of this earth. Yeah, they put in the fucking work. You don't see that this guy puts in the work and he builds all these places and he buys these farms because he built up what he had to make it where it is. He gives a good experience to his guys. They all give good experiences to their guys and their clients, and they get repeat guys that tell their guys that they hire more people that bring in more of these clients, and they make the name for themselves.
Yep.
They don't have to sit here and be like, yeah, they promote their business, but they're not going to sit here and jaw off at the fucking mouth on a forum and tell you how badass they are.
Well, and the other thing is that you can always pick out the guys. Ain't nobody, you don't ever have a hater that's doing better than you.
You don't.
You'll never have a hater that's doing better.
Like I'm one
so
of them
when
guys,
anybody's talking shit, especially talking shit about someone else, it's because they ain't doing as good as that someone else.
Very rarely do I open my mouth on some of these topics and shit like that people post. Like it kind of pisses me off.
Dude, for real, that's one of the things that I think I highly respect about you, because duck hunting, you're a bad motherfucker. Your photography and everything, fucking top notch.
Like,
You're rock fishing. When it comes to light tackle, you are by far one of the best I know out there in the bay. But you fucking show what you do. You do what you do. You don't fucking talk about it. You don't throw it at people as if it's something else. You just do you.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't have nobody to fucking impress. Like, I'm not a guide. I'm your average guy. I work 40 hours plus a fucking week. I run a side business, and if I have time to do what I'd love to do.
I mean, hell, we were supposed to podcast last night, but you got caught up with work.
Yeah.
It's fucking real life.
It is what it is, you know? It's like, and a lot of these guys, they just, like I said before, man, they missed the big picture. It's not about that to me. I love figuring stuff out, why they do it, what they do, when they're going to do it. I love thinking ahead of them, and that's what makes it that much more rewarding.
It's the hunt.
I don't exactly,
yeah,
and people are doing it for
hunt.
Get rid of social media and shit, and people wouldn't know what to fucking do.
Fuck.
They would know what to do. It'd be over.
You know, I wonder how many people not only wouldn't know what to do. I wonder how many people would just give it up altogether because they don't have it to show.
They're trying to validate.
I think a lot.
Something.
Exactly. I think a lot of them they're doing it to show. You know, and it's weird for me to say, especially because I film. Yeah. You know, and I guess I am doing it to show, but it's like
you're not boasting.
It's all part of the process.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you're showing the real shit about it.
It's what I do.
You're not showing. I'm in this tree stand and this fucking 6-pointer walks by me. This 6-point stag walks by me. You show the bad shit that happens. You show the real life hunting in the fucking downpour that a lot of guys will sit at home doing. That's the real life thing about it. And that's what, out of all the days, me and my buddy Ray always talk about this. I don't consider myself one of these top-notch duck hunters around here because there's some bad motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah.
I've hunted with some bad motherfuckers that know what they're doing.
But again, they are duck hunters.
They do it. They've been doing it for a long time. And I always talk about this when I say that all the bad days and the miserable fucking days where I've drove 2.5 hours, laid out a fucking big rig, and didn't pull the trigger.
And you wonder why the fuck you even do this?
And I've contemplated, like, you get those days where you're like, I'm never going to duck hunt again. I'm not duck hunting the rest of this year.
Why do I enjoy this?
But then the next Saturday, I wake the fuck up and I'll do it all again. Because that day, me and my buddy Ray always call it the what ifs.
Yep.
He goes, when September comes around, he's like, here comes the season of the what ifs. What's going to happen? What are we going to do? And it's always a constant adaptation to everything. You can't put your cards on places. There are some places that religiously year after year will produce. But if you don't have that honey hole, like you'll get these guys that'll have these fucking blinds, man, year after year they produce. They'll always kill. It's fine and dandy. But if you throw them out of their fucking element,
that's what I was just going to say.
They don't know what the fuck to do. They have no clue. You gotta have
that plan B, that plan C. Same with deer hunting. I know guys, and this pisses me off for two reasons. I know guys that don't know fuck all about deer hunting, but they think they're great deer hunters because they kill a great deer every year. They have a great spot. That's all it is. If you were to take them away from that spot, they'd be fucked.
And I don't take anything away from people. It's not a jealousy thing.
Well, what I was going to say is the reason it pisses me off in two ways is it pisses me off that these guys think they're great deer hunters and they don't do fuck all. And if you took them somewhere else, they wouldn't do shit. But what pisses me off more is I sometimes let that bother me. Yeah. Like it pisses me off that like sometimes I let that bother me. But really the only reason is like, hey, you got a good spot. You kill deer, good for you. But when you then act like you're a fucking master deer hunter, it's like, no, you were going to that spot no matter the day, no matter the wind, no matter what.
There was no factors.
You have one tree stand, all right? Fuck off.
Exactly.
But and it annoys me that I let that annoy me sometimes.
Like I learned to not after a while. Like sometimes it irritates me because there's people, and
it's the way they portray.
I want to say it's like we said before, man. A lion doesn't have to tell you they're a lion. Exactly. A bad motherfucker's not going to sit here and run off the jaw. Like somebody who will lay people the fuck out in a fight. They're not going to sit here and be like, I'm going to knock you the fuck out.
They're not the loudmouth.
No, they're the quiet one that's going to break your fucking teeth in. Like And it all stems back to everybody feels like they have an ego to fill. I don't think like that. Like, I'm out there to do it. Like, when I get a chance to go fishing with my 78-year-old grandfather, like, I don't give a fuck about catching fish. I don't care if I catch fish.
Yeah.
Like, when he catches fish, that's awesome. Like, he gets to get out and do it. 78 years old, 2 knee replacements, falling out of a tree stand, breaking his fucking shoulders, the collarbones up. Like, if I'm 78, I'll be lucky if I make. I always tell everybody I'll be lucky if I make it to 55 as hard as I run myself 50. If I'm lucky,
I'm with you.
Like,
I'm on that same pace.
I always tell people that, but it's I learned the bigger picture, man. It's about your time's very limited on this earth. It's not. You don't have forever. Tomorrow might not be promised. And I've learned one thing, that if you want to do something, go fucking do it, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to get good at something, the only person that's stopping you is yourself. If you let other people influence you, shame on you. Because I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me. They can think I'm an asshole. They can think I'm the nicest guy in the earth. But it's all what you want to believe.
Yeah, and that, I've said that to a lot of guys too, is like, you can't be scared.
You can't, or you'll you'll live in a shadow your whole life.
You can't be scared to start. And I mean, you want to look at hunting. It's fucking intimidating. You have, like we're talking about, all these guys got fucking egos. There is nothing I can think of more where dudes act macho and feed their fucking ego more than maybe mixed martial arts. And most of them have their fucking ego in check because they're beating the shit out of each other. There's nothing more than hunting where it's a fucking, guys pounding on their chest.
It's not
talking
even like
the
any
top
sport.
shit.
I couldn't tell you basketball, football, any.
Exactly.
You don't see guys really running off the mouth like that.
And then you have the guys that, that are, you ask a question and you get shit on for it.
Yeah. It
And
might not
then
even be
you
to
may
mooch off of
not,
somebody.
I get why a lot of people are intimidated to do it.
And they don't ask.
Yep.
And then they live in fear about doing it. And then they can't get good at their craft. And then you'll have the guys who will adapt and they'll learn themselves. But some people just aren't, they don't know like that. Like, I know a kid who was born and none of his family hunts. Nobody in his family hunts. And he started hunting and he wants to learn. And he enjoys learning. He tells us, like, he likes coming hunt with us because he learns.
Yep.
And we don't treat him any different, or we don't act like he's less than anybody. I've never been like that to somebody, because anybody who's willing to learn and put in the fucking work, you're more of a man than half of these fucking clowns on Facebook and Instagram that, oh man, my dick's this big, we shot this. Cool. Like, cool. When I was a kid growing up, if you shot a fucking doe, everybody high-five you. Now they're like, why the fuck did you shoot a doe?
Yeah.
Or if you went out, you only get to go out there and gun hunt. People only take off to gun hunt because they only get 2 weeks vacation a year.
Gun's easy.
One week's a fucking family vacation, and the other time they get to gun hunt, and that's the only time they can fill their freezer. And they like deer meat, and they shoot a fucking 6-pointer, and they don't have the trophy fucking management farms and shit like that. But like, that's cool. I don't knock anybody that hunts for trophies, because it's a craft, it's an art, it's a skill to kill big deer. Like, it is.
Or anything.
Anything at all,
Yeah.
period. Not just deer hunt, but they knock people so bad about shooting something. It's, why did you shoot that? And I see the fucking post that pisses me off more than anything is, it's not the biggest, but
That's what everyone starts
like,
with.
what the fuck does that matter? If you fucking pulled the trigger on it, and that's what me and my dad always talk about. If you pulled the fucking trigger on it and you're happy, you don't need somebody else to validate your happiness on why you killed it.
Yep.
I hate that.
Everybody does start with that. It wasn't the big
Biggest
one,
in the
or it's
woods,
not the
but-
biggest, but yeah. Yeah, I get it. And shit, I've probably even said it, because I mean, there's
get so
points
wrapped
where
up
it's
into
true,
it. It's like
but no, I 100% get that. I always say, if it gets your blood going. All right, perfect example. Anybody that doesn't believe the shit I'm saying right now, I'll say this. I started filming for Tack Driver TV, right? I shot a Jake. I didn't shoot a big tom. First animal I killed with my bow, cut the head off of Jake with a broadhead. Had fucking awesome footage. Was me and my buddy after several days of absolute shit weather and birds not making a single fucking noise. And I killed that bird with an arrow I fletched myself with the turkey wing from a bird I took roosted on that same hillside with my bow.
Self-satisfaction.
Dude, to me, that's a fucking trophy.
Absolutely.
Then I shot a small doe. First deer I've ever taken out of the saddle. First deer I ever filmed with my own camera arm, the Assassin Reach I made. It was fucking awesome. It was a tiny ass doe. The last sika I shot wasn't a big one. It wasn't a big stag. Wasn't even a majorly mature hind. But I talked her all the way in. I had awesome footage. Fucking made a perfect shot. The bear. Just killed a bear with my buddy. Wasn't a monster. It was a 120-pound bear. First day. Fucking smoked it. So, yeah. I haven't shot any bucks yet, though. I've passed I don't know how many bucks because I'm waiting for that big buck. But at the same time, again, I'm a all outdoorsman, and if it gets my fucking blood pumping,
I'm gonna fucking do it.
I'm gonna make it bleed.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And every one of them I was jacked for, whether it was because it was the footage, or it's because I was with friends, or because of the vocalizations and everything. And I'm not ashamed to show that. I'm filming this to put on, if they want to put on national TV. And dude, that's the real deal of it.
It's
like,
real
and
life.
I'm not ashamed of it. Like,
that's the problem with everything. They sugarcoat everything and it makes it look fucking simple.
Yeah.
It's not.
See, now if I was just a deer hunter, then I probably wouldn't. You know what? I would have still shot that fucking doe. I just wouldn't have shot a fucking like a bucks like I have. But I tell you, man, this season has been a good but a tough one on me for the fact that I have had 2 8 points that would have gone between 130, maybe even 140. Both of them within 45 yards. Couldn't get a shot. I had a 6-point stag 15 yards from me. Couldn't get a shot. Tonight had a big piebald doe. Couldn't get a shot. So, I mean, I'm getting on those animals. It just hasn't happened yet.
It's not the time.
Yeah,
it's not your time.
You know, but if you think about it, to me, that would have been what? 4 fucking trophy animals.
If it happens, like you have those years.
And I'm going to keep grinding for them. Yep.
You might not kill a deer this year, but the experiences and shit like that, like, was it 3 turkey seasons ago, I was working 80 hours a week in Arlington, Virginia. And I didn't get to get out but one time, 2 times maybe. I think. Twice. I got to get out in the whole spring. It was a Saturday, it was raining. And I had 4 longbeards come into 7 steps. And my gun misfired.
I remember you talking about that.
That was, I don't know if I was more pissed off or that I was hurt that I knew that was really the only shot and opportunity I was going to get in the year. And like, I've had those years that I don't kill it. Like, I'll hunt hard as fuck. And I will not be ashamed to say it that I've probably missed more turkeys than I've killed. And I'm not talking like taking marginal shots. I'm talking 25 inside 20, 25, 35 yard shots. On nothing between them, no air but myself. And that was it.
Yeah.
I got fucking caught up and I made the mistake. And I will not be ashamed to say it.
And one thing that people that don't hunt don't understand is you can spend that entire year scouting, looking at your logbook, putting together a plan, doing all this in hopes that you have that one moment to pull that trigger.
And you might not.
And as much work goes into a single moment that you may never even get to. That's where the reward comes from. It's not from, oh, I killed it. It's that you accomplish the goal that you set out so long for. And there is nothing in like hunting that takes you from such a fucking high
to a low, real fucking quick.
That quick.
And I've experienced
like
that.
when you got 4 longbeards at 7 steps, you're fucking cloud 9, top of the world. This is what you spent your year preparing for.
And in your mind, that right there, it's over.
And you know what? You may not have an experience quite like that ever again.
And I'm telling you, some of the best hunts I've ever had have been, like you just talked about, the highs and the lows, how quick it can change from a low to a high or a high to low, vice versa. It's I missed the biggest turkey I've ever missed. I had him come in. I pulled him off a hen, and he came in and made picture perfect. and I fucked up and I made the mistake. He caught me with my pants down kind of, but I was prepared for it. I said, if he's going to strut and he's going to go behind that big oak tree and I'm going to be able to ease up and get my gun up. And I was watching him over the brim of my hat and I seen him go to move and I grabbed the gun and went to pick up and he came in front of the tree instead of behind it. And when he saw me grab the gun, he jumped up and flushed. And dude, I fucking choked. I missed him 3 times out of the air. Nothing in between me and him, just out of the air. And I was like,
that's a big duck, slow duck.
I'm like, dude, missing. I'm a fucking duck hunter. And I just missed a turkey, a 22 to 25 pound turkey out of the air at 25 yards. And then I remember, like, the pattern I'm throwing is tight.
Oh, yeah. It's like a golf ball.
And I was like, if you're not on them, you're not going to you're going to miss.
And that's when you say fuck and you get pissed off for a minute. And then as you're cleaning up your shit and you're walking back to the truck cussing, you like start laughing and smiling. And you're like, did that really just fucking happen?
Oh, it gets even better because I killed one an hour later.
There you go.
And,
and there you go. The highs, lows, and the highs, man.
I sat next to the tree that I was at after I missed him for an hour and just didn't move, didn't call, didn't do nothing. No advancement, whatever. I was at literally the lowest low. I was like, that was the last one I need. Not that tagging out every year means anything to me, but that makes the hard work worth it.
Yeah.
Is when I tag out. And
it's the self-satisfaction of you've done everything you can to get it done.
And I'm naturally a very competitive person, like more so with myself than anything else.
Absolutely.
It's more of an inner battle with myself. And I ended up where I was at. I left one of my hen decoys on a crossroad, a 3-way crossroad, and I was just laying there against a tree. And I actually started to doze off a bit once I started to really come down. And I heard one gobble back that way, and I was like, no fucking way. Called, gobbled again. I started easing to him, and he shut up. So I come walking down the road, no fucking face mask on, nothing. I was like, man, this is it. He's fucking gone. He gobbled one time. And as I'm coming down the road, the sun's coming down. It's like a T. The sun's coming from this way. I had my hen decoy right in the middle of that 3-way intersection, and I'm walking, and there's a tower stand on my left for deer hunt. And I'm coming up to it, and the sun's coming from this way, and I'm like, man, my fucking hen decoy fell over. Not clicking in my fucking mind. And I look up in front of me, and then there's tall grass on the edge of the road, and I could see the silhouettes of hens in the grass, stripping the grass seeds off. I was like, what the fuck? I'm in the middle of a road with 3 inches of grass on it. Nothing on, just, I'm exposed completely. And I'm like, this is fucking over. And I looked to my left, and through the legs that that ladder stand, or not the ladder stand, that box stand, there's a fucking longbeard standing in the road, 35 yards, looking straight at me with his mouth open, just sitting there breathing. And I didn't move, and the hens worked their way out. They never saw me. They stayed in the grass. He was so fixated on what they were doing, he didn't pay attention to me. And they went down the road, eased up to the corner of that woods. I called them in. I actually snuck up with a decoy down the road, laid behind the decoy, and started calling. One of the hens peeled out. She come right to me. Coming down the road, back and forth. Me and her were going at it. He started following her. Another longbeard comes out of the woods when they're at like 80 yards. He comes with the longbeard. She's in front of them by like 30 yards. I'm like, fuck, she's going to bust me, and it's over. And I'm watching her. She peels out like 15 yards in front of me. And I look at them. They're within range. So if she freaks, I know I can kill them. I'm watching her. She comes out and she peels perfectly into the woods and walks straight away from me. I guess to go back to her nest, whatever. It was like 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I was watching her, and I had my gun laying on my ground, and I was on my hands and knees. And I looked at her, was watching her, and I looked down like that behind the decoy at my gun barrel, and his fucking foot was about 1 inch from my gun barrel. And I remember looking up underneath my hat, and they were both standing at a step and a half. And I was like, holy fuck. And I was like, well, it's go time. I picked the gun up, clicked the safety off, shouldered it.
You didn't try to grab one?
Nope, I was going to. But, they jumped. They jumped one time, jumped up a little bit, and 5 yards out, and they stopped.
Yeah, it probably freaked them out so bad they didn't know what the fuck happened.
The best part was I only took 4 shells in the woods with me, and I shot all 3 at the first one, so I only had 1 shot.
Oh, shit.
So I was like, fuck. So I let them ease out a little bit, and they weren't really spooked. Shot the one, and I was like, it's just, to never fucking give up.
Yeah.
That it's to never get, because anything can change that quick.
Never give
everything,
up,
man.
and you can't let one situation carry to the next.
I don't care what you say or who anybody that says, if they tell you they're a hunter and they've never missed, they're a fucking liar or they haven't done it long enough.
Yep, absolutely.
You're gonna miss.
And if you let fucking up that last stalk carry on to what you do in this
It'll
next one,
kill your whole
or
groove,
if you carry, that last
you have to be
decoy
confident
spread,
whatever you do, man.
And you have to, like you said, you have to just never give up, keep going into it, and just
because
keep trying to get done what you want.
That reward is so much better after you fuck up. I don't care what anybody says. It's not even
the redemption.
Like even this year, working, I was busting my ass scouting for turkey season. Opening morning in Maryland, I killed one 5 minutes into shooting time. I watched them the night before, and it wasn't even a bird I watched. I watched 3 longbeards, 7 jakes, and about 8 or 10 hens. They all roosted on the corner of the field, in this field, which was on the neighboring property. I was like, okay. The toms left way before them, and they went out into the woods with 3 or 4 hens. And the rest of the jakes and the hens stayed right on the edge of the road that I had to walk in on. So I was like, fuck, man, I got to get in there early as shit and sneak past them, because I knew those toms were farther past them, so I knew I had to get by them early. I got by them. They never opened their mouth. The one I shot was going off pretty good, and by the time I got to where I needed to be, I went to sit down. I called to him one time, real soft, and he was on the ground. By the time I sat down and threw my face mask on, he was at 60 yards in front of me on a wide open logging road. I was like, fuck. Called to him one time, and it was like, it's like clockwork, man. He just turned right up, come right up. 15 yards, was like, it's close enough.
The way it's supposed to happen.
And I've never had a turkey ever killed one off the roost. Out of all the turkeys I've ever killed, it's the first one I've ever killed off the limb. Just like that. And went to Kentucky with a buddy of mine. It was a family farm. We got there late, went in blind. It was like, dude, religiously, we've been here before. We kill turkeys here. We set up right here. They roost up in here. We kill one. One guy was windy as shit on this ridge. He's gobbling. He hits the field. He comes in. Picture perfect through the fog, coming out, dew on the grass. See him just comes right into the decoys. Perfect. Kills him. We strike up 2 more on another ridge line over. Get on them. I ended up killing one of them. We kind of just hung out there and just did some exploring and sightseeing and shit. And then we left out there. And when I got back to Maryland that Wednesday night at like 11:30, and I was just beat, man, after the drive and shit. And man, I'm going to go hunt tomorrow morning. It's my last day I took off for vacation. I'm going to go hunt. And I went down the woods, man, had one on the limb. I knew he was an older bird just by himself, and he was very different from any turkey I've ever killed. I knew he was an older turkey. He turned out being the biggest turkey I've ever killed. And it was just, I'm not going to give up what I used to kill him, but man, it was got
to pull out something a little different for the wise ones.
I did, man. And he, I was very patient with him. Even when he got quiet, he gobbled one time on the ground, and he was facing where I was at, and he wasn't super far. And I was like, he's going to come. And 5 minutes later, I see the fan coming through the woods, and he pretty much walked over top of me. He got to like 15 yards, and I was like, that's it, man. That's it.
Yeah, I told the story on the Whitetail Distraction podcast about the turkey I killed, the big tom I killed with Keith, but I would have never killed that bird on my own. It was the way Keith is experienced turkeys and knows how to play on their curiosity
Build up a memory bank
and everything else that, and the patient game, like you said.
Is your best teacher, man. I'm telling you.
And yeah, that's why I said, I'm kind of spoiled with what I learned from him. For real. But you and I, we always say this, we're gonna get out, do this, and fucking work, and life catches up. And
it's tough,
but
man.
yeah, we're definitely, we gotta get some duck hunts in this year, and some turkeys for sure.
No
doubt. Chesapeake Custom Creations, where can people check out your gear and all that?
I have a page on Facebook. I don't really run the website or nothing, man, because I don't have time.
Gotcha.
And it's I don't sell them in any stores. I've had offers from multiple different places. I just don't. I like having a more of a personal relationship with my customers and helping them out and being able to answer their questions or cater to what exactly they need. And if you just shoot me a message on there, I'll be more than happy to.
And that's just Chesapeake,
Chesapeake Custom Creations.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
And
What about your other photography content like that? Where can people check it out?
pretty much Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that. I kind of slacked off on the photography a little bit, but I'm coming back. I'm coming
Gotcha.
back, man.
And what's your name on Instagram if people want
Instagram,
to check
it's
it?
RYYANDAVIS.
Got
Ryan
it.
Davis with 2 Y's.
Sweet. Well, we're 2 hours in. We're about out of beers.
Yeah, and we could go on
I
all
think,
night.
Yeah, I think we're gonna close this out and get ready for a round 2 sometime. So thanks you all for listening. This is another episode of Kills It. Thanks for checking it out. Ryan Davis, bad motherfucker from Maryland. We're gonna get some more guests on. We're gonna do what we do.
Born primal. You were born primal.
Get out in the woods, enjoy yourself, and kill it, motherfuckers. Thanks for sticking around for another episode. We'll get the next one going soon. See y'all.
I always struggled. Had a hard time with them. I fucked up a lot on them. And I kind of got discouraged a bit. And something clicked one day. And I was like, I'm going to fucking figure these things out. Like, I'm going to do something. And I'm going to fucking figure them out. And once that took over, man, it was just like, with anything that catches my interest, if it does, I'm going to fucking get good at it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it until I'm good at it, no matter what it takes.